Let's continue unit 43 of the Morenu units. There's a unit that discusses heterim, specific leniencies in terms of Muktze. You have things that are even Muktze Mechad Gufo, the most chamur Muktze, but you're allowed to carry them under certain circumstances. So we've discussed things that you can find ma'us, right? How do you translate ma'us? What's your best translation for ma'us? Gross, okay, abhorrent, right, whatever. Now we're going to go to a different in kind. So let's see, the Gemara in Shabbat daf membet amud aleph says, Amar Shmuel, mechabim gechelet shel matechet bershut harabim, bishvil shelo yizoku barabim, aval lo gechelet shel etz. So you're allowed to extinguish an ember, a metal ember. What does that mean? A metal ember? It means a piece of metal that's very hot, and people could get hurt from that. But you can't extinguish a wooden one. Why not? Why would you not be allowed to? What's the difference between a metal one and a wooden one? What's the difference between a metal ember and a wooden ember?
The wood creates like coal or whatever.
Oh, so Yaakov the Lamdin, or Yaakov Kol, yes, says that when you extinguish, I know, it's not how you spell it. When you extinguish a wooden ember, what you are left with is coal. So you're transgressing a deoraita. Because why are you not allowed to extinguish something on Shabbos at all? Right? It's not creative. You're not creating anything new. It should be a drabanan. So it's true that extinguishing something is only deoraita if you're creating something through that. We're gonna go through that. So it's a
we even say that in Bameh Madlikin on Leil Shabbat.
That's right. We say Bameh Madlikin. What?
No,
lechabot.
I'm saying the thing in the Torah is don't have ear edge.
Right.
Why is it the lechabot?
That's right. Exactly. How did kibui become an av malacha? Become a deoraita? So that's what we say, right? So in Bameh Madlikin, us of the Ashkenazic persuasion on Leil Shabbat say the perek of Bameh Madlikin, and there we really say that you're chayav in kibui only if it's done for positive needs. Now, I'm not going to go through the sugi now. We're going to get back to the unit 70-ish. That area, around 70. There's a sugi, it's a fantastic sugi. We're not going to go into all that now. But Yaakov was using that to say here too, extinguishing a metal ember doesn't really leave anything. There's no deoraita there because you're not creating anything. You're just extinguishing, as opposed to the wooden ember would be creating coal. So it seems that what he's saying is you're allowed to do this for deoraita, you're allowed to transgress drabanans, not deoraitas. So, Amar Ravina hilkach kotz b'rshut harabim molicho pachot me-400 uvekarmelit afilu tuva. So Ravina extrapolates from this that you can therefore also carry other things. Why are you allowed to extinguish the wooden? So it's only drabanan, okay, but you're not allowed to transgress drabanans either, right? So by what right? Why are you allowed to extinguish the metal one? Because it's a public hazard. So any public hazard, you can transgress drabanans to save from public hazards. So too, you're allowed to carry muktze that could be a public hazard. So if you have broken glass, you have thorns, you have all kinds of things that could be a public hazard. So those seem to be the two criteria. It's drabanan, so we're talking about carrying muktze. So of course it's drabanan, and the public hazard. We're going to have to define public hazard better later on. But let's first see the Bahag on page 11. Says the Bahag, Shmuel, Maishna Dashari Gechelet Shel Matechet V'Asar Gechelet Shel Etz. Why did Shmuel differentiate between a metal and a wooden ember? Ela Shmuel ben begechelet shel matechet ben begechelet shel etz kerbi l'svir alei ובשביל שלא יזרקו ברבים בעלמא כאמר. אליו דהזק רבים הכנה מדעשר. גבי גחלת של עץ לית בהזק רבים. מאי תמה? כמה דלא קוויה התבסומקה. וכחזו לרבים ולא עתילת זוקי בה. גחלת של מתכת, אבל גם דאזיל סומקה קליה, So what he's saying is like this. He's saying, what I expected, you guys are too, your lumdus is too good. So you immediately thought of differences. Okay. But the Bahag says, no, there's a much more simple difference between this. The simple differentiation between metal and wood is that the wood is evident and the metal is not evident. You can have metal that's very, very hot. I'm sure this has happened to any of you or your spouses. You've touched a piece of metal that was very, very hot, right? Right, your oven tray or whatever, right? What? Yeah, but you wouldn't do that. I'm saying this isn't some kind of weird situation, a metal ember. I'm saying your oven tray, right? Whatever, right? It could be very, very hot and it won't be evident. No one will see that it's hot.
Okay, fine, all right.
As opposed to the wood, you can see. As long as it's hot, you can generally get it's still red. It's the wrong color, right? Sorry? There's smoke. Is that right? As opposed to metal can be superheated, but you just won't see it. It won't be. So on the one, first of all, it sounds like the Oraita question doesn't really bother him so much. On the one hand, on the other hand, he is. So that's what the Rivash does. The Rivash says, look, you see from the sugi that your distinction is the wrong one because you see that we carry it over from extinguishing to Muktze. If we seriously thought that a public hazard is such, now again, when we say public hazard, there's an interesting situation. We're not talking about pikuach nefesh. L'chora, we're not really worried that someone's going to burn to death here, right? But at what point do we say that a public hazard, why are we matter with public hazard? You can say one of two things. You can say because you can't really save everyone, right? If it's in your home, a glass breaks in your house, Khalila, right? So you could tell all the kids, right? I'm sure this happens to those of us who are masir, like us. And then you tell the kids, right, go, don't come here. And even after I sweep up, come back with shoes, etc. Right? Although there too, the glass itself is still muktze, right? Elamai, the glass is broken glass. There's nothing to do with it, right? But I'm allowed to clear it anyway. Why? Because someone's going to get hurt.
Okay.
Someone's going to get hurt. There's no way around that. I can't set up a perimeter around this the whole Shabbat. Someone will get hurt, and that justifies transgressing the Drabanan. So here, the Bahag is taking this further. The Bahag is very interesting in the sense that the Bahag is saying, if there is a chance that many people will get hurt, so many people getting hurt is like a pikuach nefesh, enough to justify certain deoraisas. Now, everyone rejects this Bahag. Many people, because we're talking about many people. So again, what I'm saying is that the many people here, right, the public, the Rabim, right, the many people, the public aspect here could be played in one of two ways, right? You can say it's public and therefore I can't defend everyone. This is an interesting shaila that Rosh Shlomo Zalman was asked back in the day. There was an electric wire that tore in the street, and the question is what to do, because they'll call Chavrat Chashmal and they'll send Jews over to fix it, right? On the other hand, it's dangerous. So someone said, set up a perimeter, have two people watch it all until the end of Shabbos, and you don't need to have the Chilul Shabbat. And Shlomo Zalman disagreed. Shlomo Zalman said this is objectively it's pikuach nefesh. You're right, you could circumvent it by doing all kinds of other things. But once you're in this pikuach nefesh situation, you don't need to go like this to find a way, because pikuach nefesh means Shabbat is nidche right now. So just interesting. Now he says why? Because we're talking about something public. Now he says if this is in your private home, so yes, put a chair there, or whatever. If this is in your private home and you can find a way to keep away from it, so it's not endangering anyone. Once it's out there, it's in the middle of the street, so you can find people, but it doesn't matter because we're talking about public hazard. Public hazard has its own category, and that's based on this Bahag. Now the Bahag is rejected, but on the one hand, he's rejected in the sense that all poskim disagree. We'll see in the Rivash in a moment. All poskim agree that once that just because many people can get hurt, that doesn't add up to Doraita. There, yeah, set up a perimeter, figure out something else, figure out a different solution. But on the one hand, on the other hand, the concept of the public here, in the end, the poskim take it both ways. The poskim say, on the one hand, it's the concern that I can't defend everyone and that several people can get hurt. That's what justifies transgressing the Drabanan as well. Let's see in the Rivash. You'll see the Rivash. What? The Rivash kind of plays on both. You'll see what I mean. Says the Rivash, כי יתירו לפנות הדרכים ולסכלה מאבן פחות מידה לדמות, או בכרמלית אפילו טובה, כדי שלא יקשלו בהם הרבים? הוודאי לא. שהי דבר נראה לעין הוא, ועוברים לו תחמרות עיניהם. לאמרו אל הבקות, שהוא דבר בלתי נראה ומזיק מאוד. So the Rivash, he's talking about a broader context here, and he says, we need to define, when you say that you're allowed to clear off these muktzas, it doesn't mean anything that someone might get hurt from, because people are allowed and should be using their eyes. So what are we talking about? There's something that's not easily discernible. Here he accepts the idea, the idea in the Bahag that says the reason you're not to put out the wooden ember is because people won't see it. That we accept. Because people can see it, that we do accept. People should keep their eyes open and not get hurt. You have broken glass, you can't see it, you can't really avoid it. That's a different story. לא אמרו עליו בקוץ דבר בלתי נראה ומזיק מאוד. וכן גחלת של מתלך לא מפני שיכשל באדם, אלא מפני שלא יקווה בה. ובה פירש הבהג, טעם היתר גחלת של מתלך, מפני שאין חומם ניכר, לפי שאף בתר דאזיל סומקה, עדיין יש בכוח לשרוף. מפני זה יזכו ברבים מבלי מבין. People walk by and suddenly they'll have what's the word? A burn. It's a different word, right? For a burn. They'll have a burn. And they won't even know where this came from, right? Suddenly something very hot is there, right? I'm sure you've all had this moment in the kitchen, right? Where like, oh, I didn't think that's hot, right? מפני זה יזכו ברבים בלי מבין, אבל גחלת שלץ כל זמן שיהיה בכוח לשרוף תהיה דמומית אדומה ויכירו ברבים, ואף על פי שיש לדקדק עליו במה שנראה מדבריו להתיר אפילו איסור דאורייתא מפני נזק הרבים, ודבר תימא להתירו כי אם מפני סכנת נפשות, וכל מקום דבר ברור מפירושו שאין ראוי לקרוא נזק הרבים כי אם בדבר שאינו ניכר שהנזק מצוי בו. So he says, I disagree with what the Bahag said about the Doraita, but I completely agree that his distinction is true as well. The distinction between the wood and the metal, in terms of how evident it is, there I completely agree. And the point is, it has to be something that's hazardous to people because they can't see it. So, Shulchan Aruch accepts this. See, Kotz.
Wait, and Darabanan, right?
No, only Drabanans. Only Drabanans. Doraisas are only if it's Pikuach Nefesh. And there we say, what Shlomo Zalman's point was, when it's Pikuach Nefesh of Rabim,
You don't have to try and...
right. Once it's exactly. Says Shulchan Aruch, Kotz Menach B'Reshut HaRabim, מותר לטלטלו פחות מדל אדמות, ובכרמלית מותר לטלטלו להדיא, because Carmelit carrying in Carmelit is Drabanan to begin with. So you have to carry the Drabanan, should the Chayshinan, Shema yuzku barabim, because Zeket Rabim, lo gezur Rabanan Shvut. So all the Shvut, all the Drabanans are allowed as long as we're talking about public hazard. Says the Remaim Nishberu, we talked about back in the day, we talked about broken glass, right? So he said, if you can still use it, if you can still use it, all those things. And the Rema says, yeah, but this is b'nishberu m'kom she'ocholin lahazik, b'nzchuchit nishbera l'shulchan, b'nkom she'olchin, m'tal tedel ha'shforim k'dei ha'fantan shelo yizku b'hem. Says, apart from, we discussed, can you still use that broken vase? Is this still useful, etc.? All right. But says the Rema, that's not relevant in this context, right? In our context here, we're talking about, there's another issue, which is the glass could be dangerous. In which case you could get rid of it. You could get rid of it on your own. So you'll see that now the other poskim go into the question of what is rabim. You say public hazard, the idea is that there are two things. So let's just see it, and then I'll broaden it a bit. Shulchan Aruch Harav says, "Kol hashvarim asorim b'tiltul afilu tan she'en roim l'shum melacha im munachim b'makom shochrim la'azik." גם כלי זכוכית שנשברו על השולחן, מקום שולחים, ותעלת על השברים כלפנותם, כדי שלא יזיגו ברבים, שבמקום מזק הגוף של רבים, לא גזרו על איסור מוקצה, אפילו על איסור טלטול בכרמלית, כמו שהתבאר. So, again, the question is, am I talking about the table? To understand why I brought this, I think we have to see the Gershas. Just trying to see, can I do the diuk, the Shulchan Aruch without the Gershas. The Gershas is like this. שמעתי מהגרש"ז, דמכיוון דמצינו בכמה מקומות בש"ס דרבים, היינו 3, מסתבר דבדרבנן יש להקל, בכי הגבנא דשכיח הזיקה. אך אם כל האנשים שעלולים להינזק נמצאים במקום אחד, אפשר להזהירם לבל ייכשלו, אסור לעבור אף על, it should be אף על איסור דרבנן. So basically what he's saying is like this. If you're at home just only with adults, right? You're hosting 2 other couples, but it's just the 6 of you, and you're all adults, and something breaks. So you can always assess, maybe later we'll forget and I'll walk barefoot there, etc. Right. But if you really can just create some kind of perimeter and say, all right, that area, I know there's broken glass, I'm going to keep away from it. There's no heter. He says, there have to be at least 3 people. But if you really could just tell everyone, the problem we had until now, Kotz B'Reshut HaRabim, means lots of people are going to walk by. Who's going to walk by? I don't know. I'm not going to hang around here chasing everyone all day to tell them there's broken glass here. But if I have a closed group of people, there's no justification. That's his point. So just tell them. Where's there is justification? Where there are small children. The small children are dumb. Small children aren't going to keep track. Small children are going to pull the tablecloth. It's not you can't work with them. But so Betzim, what we're saying, just what comes out of all this, just to sum up. The Bahag wanted to say that when I said that the difference between the wood and the metal is how evident it is, and not Doraita and Drabanan, implying that Doraita can also be transgressed. All poskim disagree with him and say, no, you can only transgress Drabanans, but you are right that if it's easily identifiable and people can see it, or Reb Shlomo Zalman and Shulchan Aruch Harav take this one step further and say, if you could notify everyone who's relevant, to whom this is relevant, right? If you could do that, then there's no justification to transgress the Drabanans, because you can simply tell them. Once you're talking about something public, then you can transgress the Drabanan. Now, again, this is all, we're talking about hazard, not danger. You'll get cut, not you'll, get electrocuted. So, getting electrocuted, that's a different story. And then you have to fix it. So